7-year-old boy stands perfectly still in his front yard on a bright, sunny afternoon in 1910. He wears his best sailor suit and grips a giant black umbrella that is almost as tall as he is. His parents stand just a few feet away, holding the camera steady. This is the last photograph ever taken of Benjamin Ward. 3 hours later, he vanished forever without a trace. Police searched for many weeks. Neighbors carefully checked the woods and riverbanks. A $500 reward was offered, which was a huge fortune back in 1910. Still, nothing turned up at all. The Ward family suddenly left Salem, Massachusetts that very night, hid this photograph behind a basement wall, and disappeared completely from history. 14 years later in 2024, a photograph restorer uncovers details so shocking and disturbing that she calls the FBI immediately. This was never a charming family portrait. This was actually a crime scene, and little Benjamin was desperately trying to send a message about what his parents were planning to do to him. What would you do if you were only 7 years old and you knew your parents had just murdered your sister and buried her right there in the front yard? And now they were about to do the exact same thing to you? Stay with me, because what this brave little boy managed to hide in plain sight will truly break your heart. In March 2024, Dr. Linda Chin, one of the world's top photograph experts and conservators, received a mysterious package at her studio in Portland that would change everything she thought she knew about old pictures. Inside was an old photograph so badly damaged it was hardly recognizable at first glance. It had been carefully hidden behind a false basement wall during the demolition of an old house at 412 Wickham Street in Salem, Massachusetts, a place that had stood empty and abandoned since 1952. The image showed a small boy about 7 years old dressed in a clean white sailor suit, holding a large adult-sized black umbrella on what looked like a sunny day. The photograph suffered from water damage, mold spots, foxing marks, and several tears. But on the back, written in faded pencil, were these chilling words: Benjamin Ward, August 14, 1910. Gone by sunset, God help us all. Historians quickly traced the house records and confirmed that the Ward family had lived there from 1905 until 1911. Then they searched through old newspapers and found the shocking reports. The Salem Daily Register from August 15, 1910 carried the headline about a local child who vanished in broad daylight. 7-year-old Benjamin Ward had gone missing since Sunday afternoon. Police seemed completely baffled by the case. His mother claimed she saw him playing happily in the yard at 2:15 p.m. She called him inside for dinner at 5 p.m., but he was already gone. There was no scream, no sign of any struggle, and not a single trace left behind. Dr. Chin spent 3 long months carefully restoring the damaged photograph. She used advanced AI, enhancement tools, detailed chemical analysis, and high-resolution scanning techniques. When she finally viewed the fully restored image at maximum magnification, she stopped breathing for a moment. Benjamin was not standing there posing seriously like most Edwardian children usually did in pictures. Instead, he was screaming for his life through tiny micro-expressions that had stayed hidden for 114 long years until modern technology could finally decode them. Now, if you are watching this from America and this powerful hook has already grabbed your attention, please hit that like button right now. It only appears for American viewers during the first 7 days, and every single click helps push this important story out to even more people who need to hear it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your support. First, let's look closely at his face. The restoration process revealed important details that the police back in 1910 had completely missed. Benjamin's eyes showed clear signs of extreme fear and terror. There was too much white showing above and below the irises, a classic response when someone is truly scared. His pupils were dilated wide, looking like large black pools. His eyebrows were raised and pinched tightly together. His mouth was trembling with the corners pulled down sharply, and his jaw was clenched so hard that the muscles bulged visibly. A forensic psychologist named Dr. Marcus Red studied the image and confirmed that this was genuine acute psychological terror, not just normal nervousness from having his picture taken. This young child clearly knew that something horrible was about to happen to him very soon. But here is the part that made Dr. Chin pick up the phone and call the FBI without any delay. Tiny reflections captured in Benjamin's terrified eyes were enhanced more than 500 times. They clearly revealed two adults standing right behind the camera. One was a woman wearing a long dress, and the other was a man in a suit. These were Benjamin's own parents, positioned side by side and deliberately blocking the front door of the house. They were not capturing a happy family moment at all. They were actually keeping the boy trapped outside. Have you ever felt that sudden cold chill run down your spine when you realize that someone close to you is hiding something truly terrible? If Benjamin's heartbreaking story is already affecting you deeply, drop the word yes in the comments below. Next, look at the giant umbrella he is holding. It was clearly made for an adult, yet Benjamin gripped it tightly like it was his only lifeline. His knuckles appeared white with tension, even in the black and white photo. He held the umbrella high across his chest, using it almost like a protective shield. The fabric of the umbrella showed fresh chemical streaks that looked like lime or strong chlorine. Textile forensics experts confirmed recent exposure to powerful organic breakdown agents that were only hours or maybe a couple of days old. Wrapped tightly around the wooden handle was a thick rope-like cord that created irregular dark shadows in the image. On top of that, Benjamin's small wrists showed faint but clear linear abrasions, fresh rope burns that had not yet healed. This umbrella was never just a simple prop for the picture. It was important evidence. Now pay attention to the ground right where the boy is standing. The 4 by 6 foot rectangle of earth beneath his feet looked freshly disturbed. The soil was much darker than the surrounding area, with no grass growing there and very sharp rectangular edges. Forensic archaeologists later excavated the spot and discovered a pit that measured 4 to 5 feet deep, exactly the right size and shape for a grave. At one edge of the pit, a small white curved object was partially exposed. Forensic anthropologist Dr. Helen Kowalski examined it and confirmed it was consistent with a human skull fragment from a child around 10 to 12 years. Ashes. Little Benjamin was standing directly on top of his older sister's grave. Let me introduce you to Margaret Ward, Benjamin's older sister. The official family story claims she died of influenza on July 8, 1910, and was buried quietly at Green Lawn Cemetery. However, when researchers checked, Green Lawn Cemetery had absolutely no record of any Margaret Ward, no burial plot, and no entry at all. When experts examined the remains that were found exactly where Benjamin had been standing in the photo, they discovered clear signs of blunt force trauma. The skull showed multiple fractures caused by repeated heavy blows. This was definitely not death from influenza. It was cold-blooded murder. They also discovered a private letter written by Alice Ward to her sister on August 13, 1910, just one day before the photograph was taken. In it, she wrote, "Thomas insists we deal with Benjamin exactly as we dealt with Margaret. The boy saw everything and he has threatened to tell others. No, we do what must be done. God forgive us. Please burn this letter after you read it." They never burned the letter. Instead, they hid it together with the photograph behind the basement wall. On August 14, 1910, at around 2 p.m., the photograph was taken. By 5 p.m. that same day, Benjamin Ward was reported missing. They used the same method as they had with Margaret: rope restraints, chemical cleanup to hide any traces, and a shallow grave in the yard. The Ward family fled Salem overnight, destroyed or hid every possible trace of what they had done, and managed to get away with committing double murder for a full 114 years. What haunts me the most when I look at this restored photograph is Benjamin's careful positioning. He stood right at the very edge of the grave, carefully avoiding the center. The tip of the umbrella he held pointed directly at the small exposed bone in the ground. Child psychologist Dr. Amanda Foster studied the image and explained that the boy was clearly trying to communicate a message. "Look at what they did to my sister. Look where I am standing right now. Please help me." Benjamin knew exactly what was coming. He left behind several small but powerful clues. He trusted that one day, someone in the future would finally see them and understand. Has this incredible true story shaken you to the core? Which single detail hit you the hardest? Was it the terrifying reflections in his eyes, the rope burns on his wrists, the piece of bone in the ground, or the cold words in his mother's letter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Every answer you write helps this important story reach many more people who should know about it. The excavation work carried out in 2024 confirmed every single detail found in the restored photograph. Margaret's remains were located exactly where Benjamin had been standing that sunny afternoon. The FBI eventually closed this very old cold case. By then, both of the Ward parents had already been deceased for many decades, which meant no prosecution was possible anymore. But Benjamin's haunting photograph still exists today as the most heartbreaking piece of cold case evidence ever captured on film. It shows a brave little child who fully understood his terrible fate, who stood bravely on his sister's fresh grave, and who screamed silently for help across more than a century through his wide, terrified eyes, his rope-marked wrists, and an umbrella covered with the very chemicals his parents had used to clean up their awful crime. If this emotional story gave you chills and touched your heart, please hit that like button while you still see it. The prompt only shows for viewers in America during the first 7 days. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss the true stories we bring every single week. And here is my final question for you. Where do you think the Ward family buried little Benjamin after he disappeared that day? Please, and share your own theory in the comments section. I promise I am reading every single comment you leave.